Hello guys, big news for death metal in general, okay, and bass players in particular, but for the death metal genre as a whole. Okay, I've been subscribed to Bass Player magazine since 1992, and as a subscriber to the actual print magazine, I get it way ahead of the time it starts to appear on the actual newsstands. So I got the May issue of Bass Player this past Saturday, okay, which is way ahead. We're barely scratching the first week uh, of April, barely past that, and I already have the May issue. And guess who's on the cover? Alex Webster of Cannibal Corpse. Okay, and now you may, if it hasn't sunk in yet, Bass Player, as the name implies, it's a magazine for musicians. It's not a metal magazine. In fact, 99% of the time you don't get any metal players on the cover. Yeah, they cover all, is my point. They cover funk, Latin, jazz, pop, pretty much everything across the board, as long as there's some interesting or good bass in it, okay? So, as a musician magazine and not a metal magazine, I think this is a huge thing because it means that finally, death metal, after 20 something years, I mean, if you consider the band Death, they were already uh, kicking some dust around the mid to late 80s, so we're talking about 25 years of death metal, and it's only in recent years that I've seen that it's become a little bit more accepted. And again, this is a huge step that a guy like Alex Webster is on the cover of a musician magazine, and he deserves it, of course. He's a fucking monster of a bass player. Check that out on the inside. And they also do some musical examples, all right, from his instructional book and from Torture and from Blotted Science. And they also have a little bit of a section with other bass players where they just talk about their gear. They have the guy from Suffocation. They have Steve DiGiorgio, which has played with Sadist, Death, I mean, you name it, Charred Walls of the Damned. And Jeroen Paul Thesseling, who's played with Obscura, Pestilence, and a host of others. And then, of course, they have Alex again talking about his bass and his gear. So, again, this is really huge. Back in July 2009, actually, we had perhaps the seeds were sown, if you will, for this. On Guitar World, I'm not a guitar player, so I don't buy a lot of guitar magazines, only rarely if they attract my attention. So this one I had to buy. And it had the Allman Brothers on the cover, but if you look closely, they have, it says Cannibal Corpse, okay? And they actually had a feature. This is back when, after Evisceration Plague was released. And they had a feature on the guitarists, of course, Rob and Pat of Cannibal Corpse. And they actually had a song transcription with A Cauldron of Hate, which at the time was also a pretty huge deal. And it's great that a magazine like Guitar World, okay, would print out a whole Cannibal Corpse song and interview the guitar players. Pretty, you know what I mean? So, unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that dismiss a lot of metal, and especially death metal, just on the artwork or just on hearing the vocals. As soon as a vocal jumps in, their minds shut down. They're not listening to anything else. And it's unfortunate, but what does bug me is when you can say you hate it, and I've said this a million times, you can hate it with a passion. You don't have to like it, obviously. But it's one thing to say I hate it, I think it sucks, it doesn't do anything for me, it's too noisy. But to say it's only noise, it doesn't take any talent to play, it's just mindless noise, that is an entirely different type of statement. And a lot of people can't see the difference, or they're not thinking it through. That bugs me. Okay? Hate it all you want, dislike it all you want, fantastic. But don't tell me it takes no talent. In fact, on the magazine, on the bass player article, when they go into the examples, Brian Beller pretty much says something like, and again, I'm going to paraphrase in case there's some copyright stuff, but he basically says, if you think Alex Webster has not put any thought into what he's doing, you're in for quite a rude awakening here. And then he goes into the musical examples, which of course will kick anyone's ass. Even, I'm pretty sure even the bass players that dismiss death metal and can play other things like blues and classic rock and funk, I'm sure they'll go, if they can sit down and try those out, they're in for a challenge if they sit down with the musical examples. So it's a huge step that we have somebody like Alex, and I just wanted to say it. I just wanted to scream it out into the cyber world. So keep it metal, keep supporting metal, and let's keep showing that it's not only noise, that it's quite a bit of depth to it. All right? Keep it metal.